The restaurant was one of those upscale rooftop spots in New York, dimly lit, crystal glasses catching the glow, soft jazz murmuring in the background. It was meant to be a celebratory dinner for the company's record-breaking quarter, hosted by our so-called boss, Daniel Carter. My wife, Emma, came along that evening, wearing a sleek black gown that turned heads the moment she walked in. For months, I had kept my ownership of the company a secret. I wanted to see things from the inside, understand the culture, the real power dynamics behind all those polite smiles. To everyone else, I was just another mid-level executive. Daniel, though, he was the loudest voice in the room, charismatic, arrogant, the kind of man who mistook confidence for authority. Dinner started off smoothly enough, but after one too many drinks, his tone shifted. His laughter got louder, his comments looser, his charm tipping over into something darker. He began flirting openly with the women at the table, including my wife. I noticed it immediately. The way his gaze lingered too long on Emma, the way he smiled a bit too broadly when she offered a polite laugh at his jokes. Still, I stayed composed. I'd dealt with men like him before, men who thought power gave them permission. But then, he crossed a line no man of dignity could overlook. Raising his glass, he smirked and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Jason, you don't mind if your lovely wife keeps me company tonight, do you?" Tonight, she's with me. The table went still. Forks froze midair. My stomach tightened, but my expression didn't change. I turned toward Emma. Her face had gone pale, caught between disbelief and humiliation. She rose slowly, her voice trembling. "Daniel, that's completely inappropriate," she said, but her tone was uncertain, like she couldn't quite process the words that had just been spoken. Daniel leaned back in his chair, wearing that smug grin, the kind only men with inflated egos ever perfect. "Come on, sweetheart," he said smoothly. "Don't act like you don't enjoy the attention. Your husband won't mind. He knows his place." That last line sliced through me, but I didn't give him the reaction he wanted. Not yet. I glanced around the table. Not one person dared meet my eyes. The silence told me everything I needed to know about the culture festering inside my own company. Emma grabbed her purse, her voice quiet and shaken. "I think we should leave," she whispered. But before I could answer, Daniel waved his hand dismissively. "Let her go if she wants," he said with a drunken smirk. "But we both know she'll come around." That was the final straw. My decision was instant. I stood up slowly, straightened my suit, and met his gaze head-on. The entire room fell silent again. "Daniel," I said calmly, "you've had more than enough to drink. But before you embarrass yourself any further, there's something you should know." His grin wavered, but he still tried to act amused. "Oh, yeah? And what's that?" I allowed a faint smile. "I'm not your employee," I said quietly, pulling out my phone and opening an email. "In fact, I'm your employer. Jason Miller, majority owner and CEO of Carter & Company. I acquired your division 6 months ago. You work for me." The blood drained from his face in an instant. Gasps filled the room. Someone dropped their fork. Daniel stuttered, but no words came. The arrogance had vanished completely. I continued, calm but firm. "You just insulted your employer, disrespected his wife in public, and violated every professional boundary imaginable. So, Daniel, tonight, you're not with anyone. Tonight, you're fired." The silence that followed was absolute. Emma's eyes widened, shock, pride, and relief all colliding in that moment. Daniel's grin was gone, replaced by sheer panic. He tried to laugh it off, but no sound escaped. I gave a small nod to the waiter, who quietly approached with the bill. "Put on my account," I said evenly. Then I turned to Emma. "Shall we?" We walked out together, leaving Daniel frozen as whispers rippled to the table behind us. Every executive in that room had just learned exactly where the real power stood, and who had destroyed his own career with arrogance. As the elevator doors slid shut, Emma finally exhaled. "You never told me you owned the company," she said softly. I smiled faintly. "Sometimes," I replied, "it's better to see who people really are before they know who you are." That night, with the city lights reflecting in her eyes, I realized the dinner hadn't just exposed Daniel. It had reaffirmed everything I stood for: composure, integrity, and quiet strength. Because true power never needs to raise its voice.